Everyone knows McDonald's. It's the Golden Arches, the Happy Meal, the world's biggest fast food chain. And if you ask most people who founded it, they'll say one name, Ray Kroc. But that's not the full story, because long before Kroc came along, there were two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald. They created the system that changed the way the world eats. They built the first blueprint for fast food, and yet today, they're barely remembered. This is the story of the forgotten founders of McDonald's. The McDonald brothers weren't born into wealth. They were the sons of Irish immigrants, raised in working-class New England. In the 1930s, chasing opportunity like so many Americans during the Great Depression, they headed west to California. In Monrovia, they opened a small hot dog stand near the airport. It wasn't glamorous, but it made a living. Soon after, they moved to San Bernardino and opened a new drive-in restaurant called McDonald's Barbecue. It looked like every other roadside stand of the era. Neon lights, a big menu of 20 items, and car hops delivering food to customers waiting in their cars. Business was decent, but the brothers weren't satisfied. Margins were thin, car hops were unreliable, and the entire operation felt chaotic. They knew they could do better. In 1948, the McDonald brothers made a radical decision. They shut the restaurant down for 3 months. When it reopened, everything had changed. Gone was the sprawling 20-item menu. Instead, there were just burgers, fries, and shakes. Gone were the car hops. Instead, customers walked up to the counter, placed their order, and got it fast. Behind the counter, the brothers had built something revolutionary, the Speedee Service System. It was like Henry Ford's assembly line, but for hamburgers. Each worker had a single task: grilling the patties, adding the condiments, frying the fries, pouring the drinks. The food moved down the line, quick and efficient. The results were staggering. Orders that used to take 30 minutes were now ready in 30 seconds. Prices dropped, quality stayed consistent, and customers loved it. In the first year of the new system, the brothers sold more burgers than ever before. The tiny San Bernardino restaurant became a sensation. The McDonald's weren't just serving fast food, they were inventing a new way of eating. Even the branding changed. They commissioned a new building design that featured two big golden arches curving along the sides of the roof. It was eye-catching, futuristic, instantly recognizable. The golden arches would go on to become one of the most iconic symbols in the world. The McDonald brothers knew they had something special, but they weren't chasing world domination. They were practical men. They wanted to make good money, but they valued control and quality. They began franchising, thoughtfully, carefully. A few restaurants opened in Arizona and California, but the brothers were picky. They turned down franchisees who didn't follow their system to the letter. They refused to compromise on quality, and that's where the conflict began. Because while the brothers thought small and cautious, another man was about to think big. In 1954, a 52-year-old salesman named Ray Kroc walked into the San Bernardino location. Kroc sold milkshake machines, and he couldn't understand why one small burger stand had just ordered 8 of them. When he saw the restaurant in action, Kroc was stunned. The speed, the efficiency, the long lines of happy customers. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen. To him, it wasn't just a restaurant. It was a blueprint for an empire. Where the McDonald brothers saw risk, Kroc saw unlimited potential. Kroc convinced the brothers to let him franchise McDonald's on a massive scale. In 1955, he opened the first McDonald's under his corporation in Des Plaines, Illinois. From the start, he was relentless. He expanded aggressively, opening location after location, pushing for national growth. The brothers, meanwhile, grew uneasy. They worried Kroc was moving too fast, that he was compromising the standards they had worked so hard to protect. But by then, it was too late. The contract they had signed gave Kroc the power. He eventually bought the brothers out for $2.7 million, about $26 million today. It was enough for them to retire comfortably. but nothing compared to the billions the company would later earn. And then came the final blow. When Kroc discovered the brothers still ran their original San Bernardino restaurant under the name McDonald's, he was furious. He opened a brand new McDonald's just down the road. Within a few years, the brothers' restaurant, renamed the Big M, went out of business. The men who had invented fast food no longer even owned the rights to their own name. The story of Richard and Maurice McDonald is a lesson in the brutal realities of business. They had the vision. They created the system. They built the foundation for one of the greatest companies of the 20th century. But they didn't have the hunger to expand, the ruthlessness to fight, or the ambition to scale beyond their small town. Ray Kroc did, and in the end, history remembered him as the founder, while the McDonald brothers faded into obscurity. It's a reminder that in business, invention alone isn't enough. You can change the world and still be forgotten, because execution, ambition, and control are what decide who wins the legacy. Ray Kroc became the face of McDonald's. The brothers became a footnote. And yet, without Richard and Maurice, there would be no Golden Arches, no fast food empire, no McDonald's at all. Next time, we'll look at how another founder reshaped an entire industry. Just as the McDonald brothers transformed food, Daniel Ek transformed music, and he called it Spotify. Now I want to hear from you. Which founder, company, or rise and fall story should we cover next? Drop your ideas in the comments, and it might just become the next episode of The Founder Files.